Let's back up one. Those of you who remember the days of the formation of Doyon, everybody seemed to be running out the door. They were going to work for the corporation because the idea was that everybody was going to be a millionaire, and they wanted to join that group that was going to be the millionaires. But there was one guy who was left that stayed in the door, and that was Mitch Dominoff. He was the chief after Al Ketzler. And he was right up above in an office in FNA in our old building down there on Wendell Street that used to be a dry cleaners. And FNA and TCC were just like that in those days and still are. And Mitch, I went up and talked to him because I was on the I was the representative TCC board because I was on the FNA board, and so I got assigned for the duty, and I went up to Mitch and I said, Mitch, where's our budget? He said, what budget? They all left. They went out the door. Here was a man that was very, very sharp. The first thing he had to do was to get grants so he could pay his own wage. And the staff, he had to get grants and programs for staffing. There was nothing. He could reach in his pocket and pull out that empty pocket. That was TCC in those days. We were one of the first ones to do Buy Indian contracts, to do 638 contracts, and now it's compacting. We went from nothing to over $100 million a year in program funds. This is TCC today. TCC has really done some things over the years. Remember where we came from in communication. What do we have in the villages? Old BIA radios. That radio had so many tubes and used so much power, it could heat a whole room. It was like a stove in the room. Push to touch, touch to talk. I mean, and you could use it maybe an hour a day for communication between tribes and TCC and Fairbanks. Transportation. Look at where we've come in transportation. No more dog teams. We've got snow machines. We take gas and not fish, but still we've come from dog teams to jets now. Jerry can go out here to the airport, jump on an airplane, and go to Washington, D.C. and shake that money tree. It used to take 2 and 3 weeks to get out to Washington, D.C. to shake that money tree. But that's how transportation has come about. But in the communication back to that, TCC was also the innovator. How many of you remember that great big iron antenna with that coil of copper wire? We used to have one telephone in the villages, maybe. And then with that big antenna, we could talk to our clinics. We could talk to our tribes. We had a telephone in the tribal hall. Of course, it was a payphone. Or you went up to the village administrator and gave him money so you could make a long-distance call. But one telephone. Now today you pull it out of your pocket, you flip the cover open. Hi, what you doing? How far have we come in communication? But TCC was a leader in those things. That satellite up in the air and that big iron antenna that was made out here at the university, we were the first ones to get that. And then they sent us a satellite, SAT-2, with color. Holy smacks! We thought that the clinics would really go places with that thing. But all we were was a guinea pig to test that thing out for India. The government gave it, and then the government took it away. But we showed what could be done with satellite communication. But it whetted our appetite. We wanted more of that. And now when they talk about health delivery and communication and telemedicine, We were the innovators of that. Be proud of where we've been and what we've done. Look at the energy things we've done. Look at the housing things we've done. Look at the health changes, the clinics, and the delivery of those services. Somebody talked about the clinic down in the bowling alley. Before you leave town after this meeting, go out and look where we're going. Look at that hospital that we are building. Look at what we can and will do. Look at the automation of records and the computerization of all these things that are coordinating these things for us that we are doing ourselves. We don't ask people to do things for us anymore. We do things for ourselves. A lot of this is trust responsibility, but it's us that are doing it, not somebody else giving it or doing it for us. Please, what became a Doyon shareholder, we took a prisoner, I think. But he was a real inspiration for us. Then Mitch Dominoff walked in that door, like I said, without a dime in TCC, because everything went over to Doyon. He had to make his own wages, and he got a lot of the original contracts started. Like I said, the Buy Indian Act, we were one of the first tribes to use that in Alaska. 93-638 Self-Determination Act, one of the first organizations to use that in Alaska. When we started the BIA contracts, of course, we snuck over and hired the BIA superintendents so we wouldn't run into too much trouble. But we took a whole bunch of pickups over there, and we started loading their file cabinets and their chairs and their desks, everything into our pickups. And the BIA employees said, "Whoa, we're going to call the police. You can't do this." We showed them the contract. You shall supply all materials, records, and everything necessary to implement these contracts. As we loaded up our pickups with all of their stuff, and there was nothing left but those BIA employees standing in their rooms wondering what the hell had happened to them. And then I brought their superintendent over and sat him in a desk at TCC. He was then our employee, Fred Baker, a real good man. He needs a hand also. Number 6, Melvin Charlie. He was also there fighting for us, doing his job. Number 7, some guy with a finger pointing at you. Number 8, the first Miss Chief, Kathy. Then the number 9, Will Mayo. He was an inspirational speaker. If you remember some of his early speeches, he threw the Spirit into us, and he's still talking Spirit. Steve Guinness, a real fighter, a Gwich'in, the first Gwich'in. No, Tim Wallace is also Gwich'in. We just claimed him. But Steve Guinness, another real fighter for all of us. Buddy Brown from the Kayakooks, another fighter, a lawyer, but still a fighter. And the one today, sitting over here looking smug. Jerry Isaac. We have to recognize these chiefs that built this entity through you, your strength, your unity, your direction. It is the tribes that run this entity. TCC doesn't run the villages. The villages run TCC. That's one thing we have to keep in mind always. We have to hold each other up. We have to have the unity necessary to remain strong. There's still a lot of battles to be fought. And we have to continue to fight. Look at our land base. Over half of this state is TCC land. They say Doyon land. It's not Doyon land. This is TCC land. Doyon just holds the land for us. That's what Doyon does. So keep an eye on them. Oh, hi, Ori. We used to fight as kids too, so it's okay. 50 years. It is a milestone. But remember where we've come from. And dream the directions we are going to be going. Thank you.